Imagine this. You spend months planning and improving your home. You dream about it every day, your backyard, your patio, your little slice of paradise. You pick out the colors, the plants, the furniture, everything meticulously. You even watch hours of DIY videos, making sure every detail is perfect. You finally implement your plan step by step, turning your backyard into the kind of place you'd never want to leave. And just as you're stepping back to admire your hard work, you get a letter in the mail. Not a thank you note, not a friendly well done from your neighbors. No, it's a Karen-style letter from the HOA, and it's threatening. At first you might think, surely they're joking, but then you read it. Your home improvements violate Section 4B of the HOA guidelines. Immediate compliance is required. Failure to comply will result in fines and possible legal action. And you think to yourself, wait, what? I literally followed every rule. My garden is perfectly legal. My patio is within property lines. I did everything by the book. So why is someone threatening me for just improving my home? That's when I realized I was dealing with what I like to call HOA Karen. HOA Karen is a special breed. She patrols the neighborhood like a self-appointed sheriff. She knows every single rule in the HOA handbook, or at least she thinks she does. Every flower bed, every fence, every little decoration must be exactly how she believes it should be. And when she spots something that doesn't meet her imaginary standard, watch out. She pounces. She writes letters. She files complaints. She will summon you to meetings where she can lecture you for hours about things that don't actually exist in the rules. And unfortunately, my backyard had caught her attention. At first, I was shocked. I couldn't believe someone could get so worked up over a few solar lights, some patio furniture, and garden gnomes. But then, as I read the letter again, I realized this was classic Karen energy. Overreach, paranoia, a complete disregard for facts, a personal vendetta disguised as protecting the neighborhood. I could have panicked. I could have removed my garden gnomes, taken down the lights, ripped out my patio. I could have cowered under her wrath, but I didn't. Instead, I decided to do something most people never think to do. I carefully went through the HOA rules, every single line, every clause, every tiny regulation. I pulled out my own documents, my receipts, photos of my backyard before and after, and compared them to the rules. And you know what I found? Absolutely nothing. I wasn't violating a single rule. Karen's complaint was entirely based on her opinion of what she thought should be allowed. Once I realized I had the facts on my side, I knew exactly what I had to do. I documented everything. I took new photos from every angle, showing that my upgrades were completely compliant. I gathered receipts for the materials I used. I even made notes about the exact dimensions of the patio and garden layouts. I drafted a polite but firm response to Karen and to the HOA board. I made sure it was professional, calm, and fact-based. I didn't get angry, I didn't call names, I just laid out the truth. I basically said, "Dear HOA, I've reviewed all relevant guidelines and rules, and my improvements are fully compliant. I welcome any clarification, but as it stands, my property upgrades are within my rights." I sent the email, and then I waited. The waiting was the hardest part. Every time I saw Karen peeking over her fence, every time I saw her clipboard and her little frown, I wondered if she would escalate things. Would she call the board again? Would she try to get me fined? Would she drag me to some HOA tribunal? My heart would race, but I reminded myself I knew I was right. I had all the facts, and sometimes that's all you need. A week later, I got the response, and oh, it was beautiful. The letter was short, polite, almost timid. It said, "After review, your improvements are acceptable. We apologize for the confusion." Yes, that's right. The same person who threatened fines, legal action, and potential removal of my garden ended up apologizing. I couldn't stop laughing. I mean, who wouldn't? The audacity of threatening someone for simply following the rules and then being proven wrong. The satisfaction was almost cinematic. I even made a little ritual of it. Every time I walked past my garden, I would smile and think, yep, I had the last laugh. But the story doesn't end there. Karen, of course, didn't disappear. She continued to patrol the neighborhood, clipboard in hand, looking for her next imaginary violation. But now, every time I saw her, I felt this quiet sense of power, because I knew I could stand my ground. I knew the rules, I knew my rights, and I wasn't afraid to use them. There's a lesson here for anyone dealing with HOA issues, or just that neighbor who thinks they own the block. First, know your rights. Read the rules. Understand what is actually enforceable and what isn't. Second, document everything. Pictures, receipts, emails, notes. Trust me, it will save you stress later. Third, stay calm. Don't let anger or frustration dictate your response. A polite, well-documented, fact-based approach will almost always win. And finally, sometimes the best revenge isn't fighting fire with fire. It's standing your ground, staying confident, and letting the truth speak for itself. Now, I still enjoy my backyard every day. The patio is perfect, the lights glow just right at night, the gnomes stand proudly in their little corners, and Karen, well, she's probably still shaking her fist behind her fence, muttering about imaginary rule violations. But me? I sip my coffee, enjoy my garden, and remember that patience, knowledge, and a little humor can go a long way. So, if you've ever had an HOA nightmare or dealt with a Karen in your neighborhood, share your story in the comments. Trust me, you're not alone. And remember, sometimes the best revenge is simply knowing you're right and enjoying your victory in peace.